John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, Tim Walz, and Kamala Harris all want to take away your freedom of speech, and they've said so much in interviews. And I've included all the interviews in this one video here. So watch and enjoy, folks.
I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies silencing their fellow citizens. And it's Kamala Harris saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years.
I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing.
What the heck is he talking about? No one is anguished about social media, except you lefties who want to control the flow of information.
And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue.
The point of democracy is to build consensus? Odd. I thought the point of democracy was for everyone to have a voice, an effect on their own future.
It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact are kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree.
Oh, poor elites. You don't have a monopoly on the information the masses are allowed to know anymore. How that must hurt your sensitive hearts. For instance, many of the secrets of the Vietnam War didn't come out until decades later. Yet today, we have real-time information that exposed the Ukraine war for what it was in real time. And that's why these elites are so angry.
And people go and people self-select where they go for their news or for their information.
I guess you'd like to select for them, huh, John Kerry? That's what he's saying. He'd like to restrict your options for entertainment and your sources of information. This is what the Democrats are all about, literally taking away our freedom of speech and our freedom to defend ourselves.
And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this.
No. You mean it is harder to control the flow of information. That is what you mean by consensus, John Kerry.
And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities.
Quote, a lot of discussions about how to curb them entities. What do you think he means? What do you think about that? What do you think he means by curbing these entities? He's talking about jailing the government's opponents for speech code violations, people.
In order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera.
He means censorship. He means censorship. He means authoritarianism. He means suppression of speech. These people are wicked, dark, twisted ideologues who would strip you of every right you ever had. They would gladly take everything from you and destroy your family.
But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick, and, has an agenda, and they're putting out disinformation.
Is he talking about the government right now? What the fuck is he talking about? It's the government who has lied.
Our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So.
Listen to this guy. Is he serious? Our First Amendment is in the way of stamping out misinformation? What kind of Orwellian nightmare are you people trying to push us in? This is sick.
So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change.
You just said the quiet part out loud. What the hell? So the Democrats are banking on winning this election and then they plan on passing some new law to control free speech.
Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways. And
so
that's
you're
really
questioning
dangerous.
really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
Can democracy survive social media? Are these people fucking aliens? What the fuck did I just hear? Can democracy survive social media?
Democracies are very challenged right now. And
yeah, democracy sure is being challenged right now by you leftoid globalist demons. You try to undermine democracy in Europe when your establishment political parties refuse to form a coalition government with the right-wing party that wins. And everyone knows of your machinations here in the United States.
Have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
If you think this scumbag is bad, listen to Hillary Clinton.
Boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
She thinks we should be held liable civilly and criminally. Why don't you crawl back into your hole, Hillary? No one cares what the fuck you think. And since Hillary's the old news, let's look at the new news. This fucking... I won't even want to say it.
He has lost his privileges and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter.
Of course you can, you dummy.
The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power.
What about the power of the government to spread misinformation, propaganda, and lies?
They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation.
Oversight? You mean suppression? You mean censorship?
And that has to stop.
Freedom of speech must stop? Who the fuck are you? Fuck this idiot. This is interesting. I did not know that Kamala played such a prominent role in silencing Donald Trump. Let's hear more about this.
I guess the question about I know you wrote to Twitter and the CEO, Jack Dorsey, and asked him to take away the president's Twitter handle, his account. How is that not a violation of free speech? I mean, the president has the same rights that you have, that I have.
No, obviously, according to Kamala Harris, Donald Trump does not possess the same rights as you have or that I have. This is this woman's rationale.
And how would that not just be a slippery slope where they have to ban, half of the people on Twitter?
I've heard that argument,
But I'm a fucking idiot moron who doesn't understand anything because I'm an imbecile.
But here's the thing, Jake. First of all, a corporation, which is what Twitter is, it does not have
freedom of speech. Is that what you were going to say?
It has obligations, and in this case, Twitter has terms of use policy.
What the fuck do you know about Twitter's terms of use policy, Kamala?
And their terms of use dictate who receives the privilege of speaking on that platform.
And who gave you the right to dictate what is allowed on Twitter?
And who does not. And Donald Trump has clearly violated the terms of use.
Oh, God, she gives me a headache.
And there should be a consequence for that. Not to mention the fact that he has used his platform, being the President of the United States, in a way that has been about inciting fear and potentially inciting harm.
Wow. What an idiot. But you want to hear someone even more moronic? Listen to this imbecile, her running mate, Tim Walz, who failed miserably at the debate tonight.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Actually, everybody, hate speech and misinformation are covered under our Constitution. This fucking moron doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. These are the people that want to take away your rights, America. The Democrats. We cannot let them get power. We have to defeat them. We cannot even let them have the majority of the Senate or the House. They can't have the presidency. They can't be trusted. They can't wield power. They're authoritarians and they're scum. Evil. Disgusting.